Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to follow an absolutely epic, nonstop journey that connects pretty much every living thing on our planet. Yep, we're talking about the water cycle. I mean, really think about that for a second. That drop of rain hitting your window, last month it could have been floating in the Pacific Ocean. 1,000 years ago, maybe it was locked deep inside a glacier. Every single drop is a traveler with an incredible story. And today, we're going to follow that path. Now, there's a fancy official name for this journey, the hydrological cycle. It's basically the continuous movement of water in a giant closed loop, which means the very same water we have today has been cycling around our planet for literally billions of years. Mind-blowing, right? A really great way to picture it is this. If the Earth were a living, breathing thing, the water cycle would be its circulatory system. It's constantly moving this vital resource exactly where it needs to go, keeping the entire planet alive and kicking. It's such a powerful idea. So, how does this whole journey actually work? Well, we can break it down into 4 main stages, which is pretty neat. First, you've got the ascent, where the water goes up. Then, the transformation, where it changes its form. Next up is the return, when it comes back down. And finally, the collection, where it all gathers up to start the whole thing over again. So let's kick things off with stage 1, the ascent. This is the part of the journey where water seems to just defy gravity, making its way from the ground all the way up into the sky. And the engine that powers this incredible liftoff? It's the sun. That's it. Its heat provides all the raw energy needed to turn liquid water into a gas, what we call water vapor, and just lift it right out of oceans, lakes, and even the soil.
Now, this whole ascent happens in 2 main ways. First, there's evaporation, which you probably know, water turning into vapor from big bodies of water like oceans and rivers. But then there's transpiration, and this part is just fascinating. It's basically plants breathing out water vapor from their leaves. Put them together, and these 2 processes lift a truly massive amount of water into the sky.
So, once all that invisible water vapor gets way up high in the atmosphere, it goes through a pretty dramatic change. And that brings us to stage 2, the transformation. See, as that warm, moist air rises, it starts to cool down, and this change in temperature is the trigger for everything that happens next. That invisible gas, the water vapor, it just can't stay a gas in that colder air. It has to change. And the result? Boom. That vapor condenses back into billions and billions of tiny liquid water droplets. And as these little droplets cling together, they become visible to us as clouds. So yeah, every cloud you see is just a huge mass of transformed water floating way up there. But you know the saying, what goes up must come down. And that brings us to our 3rd stage, the return journey. The water is now all set to make its way back down to the Earth's surface. It really just comes down to simple physics. Inside those clouds, all those tiny water droplets start bumping into each other and combining, getting bigger and heavier. And eventually, they get so heavy that the air currents just can't hold them up anymore, and gravity takes over. This fall back to Earth is what we call precipitation. And depending on how cold the atmosphere is, it can show up in a few different forms. We're all super familiar with rain, of course, but if it gets cold enough, we get snow, sleet, or even hail. So, the water has returned, but the journey isn't quite over yet. The final stage is the collection. This is where the cycle completes its loop, getting everything ready to start all over again. Okay, so once that rain or snow hits the ground, it can take a few different paths. Some of it will collect directly in rivers, lakes, and oceans. Some of it flows over the surface as what we call runoff. And a really crucial part of it actually soaks deep into the ground through a process called infiltration. This water that seeps down becomes groundwater. It gets stored in these huge underground pockets called aquifers and can move super slowly for miles and miles right under our feet. This hidden river system is a critical part of the cycle, and it eventually feeds back into lakes and oceans ready to begin its ascent once more. So we've just seen how the cycle works, step by step. But the really big question is, why is it so important? I mean, this isn't just some neat mechanical process. It's the very system that makes life on Earth possible. Think about this. This cycle is a massive climate regulator. By evaporating, water soaks up huge amounts of heat from the tropics. Then, when it falls as rain somewhere else, it releases that heat. It's like a colossal, planet-sized air conditioning system.
Plus, this whole process naturally purifies the water, leaving salts and gunk behind, and it delivers the essential fresh water that supports just about every ecosystem on land.
So when you zoom out, you realize the journey of a single drop of water is woven into this massive, interconnected global system. It dictates our weather, carves out landscapes, and makes all of our agriculture possible. It is, and this is no exaggeration, the very engine that powers our living world.
And that really brings us to a final thought. This engine has been running pretty consistently for billions of years, setting a certain rhythm for the planet. So the question we're left with is, what happens to our world, to our ecosystems, and to us if that ancient rhythm starts to change?
Hey, everyone.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update.